Hello lovely people, and welcome to this week's slow journaling and Fred hair extravaganza. This week I thought I would make some little tags and pockets. We'll see how far we get, because you know I'm slow. So what I've done is I have taken a photo with my phone of, just put the wrap to one side, this image from my title page. So I took a photo of it, I put it into Word, and I, made it so it fitted and did it 9 times on that page, and then I made it a bit smaller on that page and did some more and printed them out. So I've got these little photo vignettes, would you call them, that kind of echo my title page. So I thought it might be nice to include little tags and pockets with that on, sort of going throughout the journal. So I think I'll start by just making one and just see where I get to, and then decide where to put it. You could either, find a place to put it and then make it to fit, or I'm just going to make one. So I think I'll start with the slightly bigger ones. I've got all kinds of other bits and bobs around the place. I've got some stamps. Got the Alice in Wonderland stamp, which I've already used one of, and that's my second one. I've also got the Red Boy, which is, if you've watched my Park Home Life, you know I've got a needlepoint of that on the wall. It was a painting that an uncle of mine copied years ago. He was an artist and he did a copy of that. I've got some of my found text, various words. I've got this little card that Maria sent me, which has also got the Mad Hatter's Tea Party from Alice in Wonderland. I was in Alice in Wonderland when I was younger. I was the Cheshire Cat, so that's why it has relevance for me. I've got these butterflies, because I've had butterflies throughout, which are cigarette silks. Also they came from Maria, and they're quite... She said you can soak the paper off them to get the silk, but I quite like them as tags. So I thought maybe I could, stick one of my little pictures on the back or do something. We'll see, we'll see. Got some little botanical images of roses. Well, that's hazel, because that's something I eco-print. So there's a rose. Oh, and here's some little roses as well. Just little images of roses. Pink roses, because my family are from Yorkshire, but I was born in Lancashire. So a pink rose is, the white rose of York and the red rose of Lancashire combined. So that's why those. I've got some washi tape, which was sent to me. I think this came from Mand, but it's got sort of botanicals on it, so I thought maybe I might use some of that. I've got various envelopes. I think that's glassine, I think that's called. Makes a nice crackly sound. It's a lovely little blue envelope. The little saying came in. That was sent to me by Hilda, I think. Apologies if I forget who sent me what. You're all so generous, it's hard to keep track. With a little brown paper bag that could be a pocket. Here's another little envelope. I think that came from Maria. I like this on the front. They're not roses, but they're flowers. I like the numbers and the feel of it and everything. I thought maybe if I cut that off I could stick that down and that could be a pocket. There's another envelope and some stiffer paper that came out of an old book, and that's some cardi paper with that's been dyed, I think, with logwood. Stuff. I've got some collagey bits. I've got some bits of lace and sari silk, because if I make tags, to make a little thing to hold it by. What else have I got? Oh, I've got my thing that makes round shapes, because if you make a pocket you want to do a thumb notch. It says thumb notch on it. And my corner rounder. The children bought me those a few Christmases back. I've got my staple gun, tacky glue, glue stick. I've got some paper clips. I've got some brads. I got stuff, basically, stuff, whatever you've got. Oh, and I've also got this to show you. A friend of mine came over the other day and we went around the local charity shops and then had some lunch. And I actually bought a necklace and a bracelet. I think it was £1.50 or something like that. I don't know, the necklace has gone, but this is the bracelet. I've already taken the little thing off, but look at all those goodies. So I just think they're great. They're just little rings. They're silver coloured and copper coloured. Some have got diamonds on. I'm sure they're real diamonds for £1.50. So yeah, so there was the bracelet and the necklace, which I've put the necklace somewhere, but that's plenty to be going on with. And I just took the little ring thing off the end, you know, so I could get them off. So I don't know if I use those, but I just wanted to show you and just suggest that as an idea. If you're in a thrift shop or whatever, do look at the jewellery for beads and bling and dangles, because it's way, way cheaper than buying, you know, specific things that are sold for journaling. I think that's it. So anyway, let's get started. Oh, and I've also got a cup of tea, which I'm going to have a sip of. Excusing me. So I think I'll just tear these out. Oh, and I've got my inks, because I have to ink everything, as we know. So I think I'll just tear these to start with. Maybe I've got them vaguely in line. I can tear them all in one go. Yeah, there are fancy photo manipulating programs, whatever you call them, but I just use Word. You just open Word, open a blank thing, do insert, find the photo, insert it, and then you can just drag it and copy and paste it. It works perfectly well for me. And this is just regular printer paper, you know, it's not anything fancy, because I thought I'll glue it onto something sturdier. Right, so there's one of her. So what do we want to stick her onto? If that ruler shines at you, I'll move it out of shot, just in case it does. This is lovely. This is there's an end paper from a book. I don't know if I've glued the pages together or if they were glued together, but I just like the colours of it. Maybe I'll put her on there. Like, you could either, it would depend if you wanted to write on the back or not. So if you wanted it to just be a little decorative element, I guess you'd stick her on that side and maybe, you know, do something else around her and then have that as the back. Or if you wanted to write, you have this as a writing place, like what they call a journaling spot, I think. You could stick her on the front. Let's just tear a bit of that and then decide afterwards. I don't want to get too big with them because I want them to fit places. Come on, Catherine, get yourself sorted out. I've been feeling a bit strange again, and it has just been a full moon. I'm recording this early because my son's coming for the weekend, so today is Tuesday, and also I've got a meeting tomorrow. And last week was the full moon, and it was also a lunar eclipse. That's nice for collage. And I'm just wondering if, you know, I think I said it last month somewhere, I don't know where. Let's do the corners. Let's do with the bigger one. Always turn these upside down so you can see that you've got it in the right place. Don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it, but that's how I do it. Go in. Yeah, well, I mentioned, it's funny, there's been a lot of things that I'm only realising now I'm nearly 60. I guess that's normal, we learn as we grow, don't we? We learn as we grow and as we go. But you know, the fact that when we're, us ladies, us women, when we're post, you know, menopausal, we still have cycles, and a lot of you said, and I hadn't sort of realised that or been aware of that in myself, but when I mentioned it, I can't remember what video it was, a lot of you mentioned that you were the same, so live and learn. So I could put her on there. If I ink her, she'll pop out a bit more. I wonder if I want to add something else to her. I mean, she's obviously already got the words that were on the thing. Maybe I'll just keep her simple like that. I'll ink her first. Now I've got my fancy daubers. I'll use my vintage photo, I think. I use the same dauber from, I mostly, or nearly exclusively use my my Ranger is archival ink and just black ink and the vintage photo. I don't really have any other. I've got a couple of coloured inks somewhere, I think, but I don't really use them very much, ink pads. And I quite like the combination, when the two mix, the black and the brown. So that's my excuse for just using the one dauber. And I know if I tried to keep one dauber for each, I would mix them up at one point when I was in the flow, so I don't want to try. There we go, that's her inked. So you see she stands out a little bit better off that busier background. I think this as well. I might just make a few and then later on go and put them in the journal, because I know it takes me a lot of time to fiddle about going through, and I just feel like I would like to be a bit productive. I think that would make me feel better to produce, you know, that's what productive means, isn't it? To produce some things. So if I was to put her maybe like that, I wonder if I do want to put another element on there. And what about one of these? Although they get complete, I think they'll get a bit lost. I don't know. Let's cut that because it's so tiny. So yeah, so with this journal I'm just thinking about things that are personal to me, things that kind of reflect my life and the story I want to tell. So I would guess maybe you could say it's kind of autobiographical in a sense. It's just this particular journal. Sometimes you're telling a, you know, a different kind of story. You know, sometimes it's just an idea or a theme or something like that. I think that looks quite good there. Let's ink it. So it's, to me, this is different to the Monday journal. This is more of an art journal, but there's always an overlap, isn't there? I know people asked in the beginning who weren't familiar with journaling what was an art journal, and you know, why did I call it an art journal? Well, it's a little bit hard to explain. So I think if I stick that like that and make a little hole and put something through, or staple something on, then we'll be good to go. So I'm just going to use glue stick, I think. So we'll start with the bottom layer, which is her. A trusty glue book standing by. So, you know, I think I've heard different people describe different things as art journals. I don't know if there's a definitive answer. You'll have to let me know if you've got more experience. You know, if you're a seasoned journaler of some kind. Excuse me if my head comes in when I try to line it up. You know, what to you is an art journal, because then there's a junk journal is, to me, just a journal made of junk, made of, you know, to me a pure, true junk journal would be made all with recycled materials. It wouldn't use digitals or anything like that. But it could also be an art journal, and it could also be a personal journal. You know, a self-care journal or a gratitude journal, one of those kinds of journals. So I think the term junk journal is to do with what it's made of and how it's made, if that makes sense. There we go, that's quite good. I'm quite happy with that. I don't think I need to put anything else on there. I'm just going to choose a bit of something. So I've got some sari silk. Quite like that grey with the purple. I've got this lace, which is a bit wide, but you can always cut it down or fold it in half, whichever you prefer. I've also got some in gold. I think I like the grey sari silk. Or maybe the green. No, let's go with the green, because it picks up the green in her little emerald headdress. And the green in the rose leaves. I think I am going to try and tear it up its length, because I do like the fluffy edges. See what happens with a tiny thing. Worked fine. There we go. And so you can attach that any number of ways. I think I might attach it front and back with a tiny bit of glue and then put a brad through it. I'm just going to, by eye, get it somewhat central. A bit of glue front and back. I just saw Mary Ellen recently on the Red Parrot channel. She does all kinds of journaling, and her glue stick was running out, and she got a palette knife and poked out the remnants. I'd never thought of doing that. I just think of all the glue sticks I must have wasted over the years. You know, when it gets down so low that you can't smear it on anymore. I think I've sort of dug it out with my finger, not very expertly, here and there. But it never occurred to me to stick a palette knife in there. So thank you, Mary Ellen, for that. Right, well that's not very well stuck, but it's getting a brad through it, so then it'll be fine. You could also sew a button over it, or, you know, do whatever you wanted to, really. I've got some brads in this little saucer of goodies. Just a normal brad. To poke a little hole with my pokey tool. I'll do it against my glue book. There we go. And now I've got a little space on the back where I could write something or stick some other words. Whoops, it hasn't gone through that because I didn't glue it very well. There we go. I want the legs going sideways so they don't show behind. I love these little brads, but they're super fiddly. And I get the handle of my awl, which is flat, and just use that to squash it down. If you're worried about it catching on anything, you could always glue something else over it. But it feels pretty smooth. There we go. So that was a little quick job, and it pleases me in this mood that I'm in to have produced a thing. I've made a thing. I mean, you know, it's not much of a thing, but it's a thing. So let's put something on the back, shall we? I can add, I wonder if we put Alice there and some words. Oh yes, I found, I don't know if you remember, if you watched before, that I'd found in a magazine that my words on the front there, well they're not my words, they're Mary Oliver's words, you do not have to be good, which is the first line of the poem Wild Geese. And I found the same words in a magazine, and last time I couldn't find you, it was somewhere buried in my box of letters. I think that's quite appropriate for Alice really as well. So I might stick those on there. Excuse me, but I might put something else behind because it's all a bit, the tone's the same. I want something maybe a bit darker or a contrast just to go behind there. That's not a contrast, that's the same. Couldn't be more the same if it tried. Or just something, excuse my arm, I'm rippling. I'll get the papers in so you can see them. Yeah, and the whole line, it was an embroidery magazine or something, and it said you do not have to be good at embroidery to make this cushion, or, you know, something like that. I'm not remembering exactly, I'm sure. But the words, you don't have to be good, just jumped out at me. See, that's pale, but it's got darker writing. No, what about this? This is a bit more blingy. Still a bit blue. I think I want, how about this pink? Yes, let's go for pink. It's a complete contrast. I've just pulled a few bits out of my collage rather than have the whole box out, because otherwise I'll be here all day. So I just want a bit of this. Quite like the way that's torn there. I think that's handmade paper, yeah. I think it's handmade paper that's been... Was this from you, Martop? I can't remember. But I do like that torn edge, so maybe I'll just have some of that. So I would suggest, you know, if you've got what they call the blahs, you're feeling a bit flat, is how I put it. Just maybe try and make a little something if you can. If you can't, then, you know, I think it's fine to... I watch Wendy, the Unexpected Gypsy, and her phrase is shine when you can, cocoon when you can't. And it's just giving you that permission that when you feel that way, that's too big now, to just, you know, go with it. But for me, when I'm feeling a little bit better and up to it, I do think that it does me good to do something at one point, you know. So I would say, for me personally, cocoon for a bit and then try and get up and do a little something. Otherwise I tend to spiral downwards. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be a downer on everybody. It's, I mean, also, let's lift the mood. Where, by the time you see this, we will have passed the equinox. Wait, I nearly said the spring equinox. It's obviously spring here in the northern hemisphere, and it's the autumn equinox down under, isn't it? And I have been thinking about doing my garden. Thinking about it. I haven't actually done anything yet. To be honest, I haven't had time. But it is the time of year, really, here in this part of the world, that it would be good to start the garden. There, if I tuck her in there, I feel I still need something behind her, maybe just a bit of book page or just something. Or I could do something on there first. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my illegible stamp a little bit with the distress ink. Just somewhere there. Just to give a bit of something to the background. And try her again. That's better. It's just a little bit of something just to zhuzh it up. Now I'm going to endeavour to ink these tiny little bits. Where's my dobby dobber? Sorry for the rattling. That's my ruler against the metal hinges on my little wooden box here. So yeah, so I have been thinking about doing my garden. Now I've got here, I have never shown you outside. It's a little bit difficult to film outside because we're all quite close to each other, and the neighbours walk up and down and talk to me. So if I'm out there filming and talking, you know, it's just... I will, when I do the garden, I will at least try and do some little bits of filming out there, and then maybe do a voiceover if I'm not comfortable out there chatting to you, but just to show you what I'm up to. But I've got a little patch of grass on all four sides basically. So outside my window here, which is the north side, and that's the side that the doors open onto, I've got maybe 3 metres before my neighbour's fence, and then it's the length of the home, which I think is 10 metres thereabouts, is that right? 36 feet, plus maybe a couple of metres at the front and a couple of metres at the back, and then behind me on the other side is another bit of grass that's mine, that's about the same width. So I've got sort of 3 metres either side and 2 metres at each end, if that makes sense. I'm doing it like this because it was too flimsy to try and do it on its edge. I just want to dull that white down a little bit. So, and the bit in front here is the lane. That it doesn't go, I mean, it only goes up into the park and back, you know, it's not a through lane. But sort of opposite me and down a bit is a car park, so it's not a very nice view. So I want to, and I'm down slightly from the lane, so my bit of grass out here is on a slight bank, and it's a real pain to mow apart from anything else. So I want to eventually, I can't do it all in one go, you know, physically, or it would also be very expensive, to put shrubs along there that grow a little, you know, I'm not talking about major high type things, but just to just shelter me a little bit, you know. And just put some glue stick on this stump. But I'm going to start by at this end, because my main garden, the bit that's fenced off for Stella, is obviously outside my doors here. I've got 2 doors outside, you know, leading to outside, obviously, and they're both on this side. That's okay there. So I'm going to start with this bit of garden outside the door. And just here, although it's north facing, at this end, I'm sat right at the front end, it gets the morning sun here. Well, you know, for a little while. It's currently 10 to 12 and it's still only March, so in the summer the sun will be higher. So I think it would be nice to have a little bench or something there eventually. I'm thinking of making a little seating area. As I said, it's all grass, so I need to get rid of the grass. It doesn't work here, the grass, because it's very small and that's where Stella goes. And when she's done a wee, she does that scuffing up thing, so that it's, you know, a lot of it is very gone away. And I know she will wee on gravel, but she doesn't scuff up on gravel. And I know this because the house in France, we had gravel out, or there is gravel outside the back door. And last thing at night and early first thing in the morning, that's where she was let out to wee, and she just weed on the gravel and didn't scuff up. Probably it hurts her little feet. There we go, that looks okay. I need to ink these. So my thinking is to make a little gravelled area here with a bench, and so I can put some pots of shade-loving plants, and then the rest, and then make a little gravel path. There's kind of paving right alongside the home that's slightly raised up. And then we just put a little narrow gravel path just so you can get through, and then the rest up against my neighbour's fence. There's quite a nice new fence with my neighbour that way, that's painted a nice dark green, so that will look nice with plants against it. And then I can put some lovely shade-loving plants along there. Or actually the head's in the sun, so I could even put things like clematis, which don't mind their feet in the shade as long as they can get their heads up into the sun. And I will ask him, but I'm sure he won't mind if I put trellis against the fence. He's a very nice chap. So yeah, so I'm quite excited about starting that, but in the past I would have gone at it like a bull at a gate, as my granny would have said, on the theme of expressions, and probably done my back in and worked like a dog. Why do they say work like a dog? I've never known a dog that well, there are dogs at work, of course, you know, police dogs, aren't there, and rescue dogs and things like that. But in general, pet dogs don't work, do they? Sorry, my tea's going cold, so I was just having a good sip. Yeah, I would have just, you know, started at the crack of dawn and gone on until, you know, dark. I've already done that. You've already inked those, Catherine. You don't ink them again. You want to glue them. But I shall be sensible. So I've kind of been thinking about the order to do it in, you know, logical order. Because the other issue here as well is I don't have room for compost bins or to make stacks. What I'd do if I had the space would be, I've got a 2-year diploma in garden design many years ago, but I've always been a keen gardener, but I do have some, you know, some training, shall we say, as well as lots of experience. So what I would have done was lifted all the turf off and then stacked it upside down somewhere in a corner to break down, and then it makes brilliant topsoil. I want that just off that edge like that. But I don't have the room to do that. I don't have the space to do that. I seem to be lining that up like that. Yes, I quite like that. But now I feel I need a little something here, just a little something. I really hope my head's not in the way all the time. Apologies if it is. I'm just feeling a bit, you know, not at full capacity. So So I hope you'll forgive me. But I think you can cut the shapes out. I like that little pink one there. So I'm going to just cut that off. There, like that. And then of course it's going to do that, and you all knew that. And then I'm going to just try and cut around it a little bit. I'll wind that back on there in a minute because that's precious. So yeah, if you've got any tips about handling this stuff, you expert journalers out there, we'd all love to hear them, those of us that aren't. Because I'm always aware that when you tell me things in the comments, you're not only telling me, you're telling the whole community. So it's lovely when you share tips. Because other people might see that and, you know, might be helpful to them as well. I'm making a right pig's ear of this. There's another expression. I find pig's ears rather beautiful, so I don't know why it's said for something that you're doing badly. There's another expression. I shouldn't give all my expressions away now. I'll have none for next Friday. Yeah, to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. That means to make something precious out of something that's not precious. But again, I do think that I do like pig's ears. Not the kind that you give to dogs. They're here as a dog treat. You can buy them. They're quite, I don't really like to buy them because they still look like a pig's ear. Well, they are a pig's ear. They're just dried. I don't know if you have those in other countries. But they're stiff, you know, crunchy. But they give me the heebie-jeebies, so I love pigs. I had pigs years ago. When I lived in France the first time, we had pigs. Anyway, that's another story. So I think that just, although it's the same colour as that almost, it's just a little something. So there's a little tag. Kate and Alice. Alice is completely wonky, I've since noticed, but you know, we'll go with it. So that can find a place in my journal. So let's do another one. I'd like to do at least two. Since we're doing Alice, let's do this card. Now I don't want to show you the inside because it's a message that Maria's written to me. So I'm going to stick something over it, Maria, because I've read it and appreciated it, and it's also, more importantly, it's got Maria's address on, so we definitely don't want to share that. Okay, I've stuck a bit of, I think that's called straw paper, over it, and I'm just going to trim the white parts away. Straight as I can. That's going to chime 12. I'm going to leave that edge because I'm going to ink it, and that was a nice torn edge. That's the only thing I don't like about using card, is you can't really tear it, or I can't. It's not very straight, but it's good enough. Okay, I think I might put something down here at the bottom. Okay, I've gone for some words. I'm going to go for speak true stories. Because it's kind of multiple meanings. I mean, Alice in Wonderland is a story. And we can talk about telling our own stories, can't we? I'm thinking I might even put a bit of book page behind there as well, just as an extra layer. That is the sideboard and cutting the grass. Apologies if you can hear that. The sound of the lawnmower. Just get a bit out of my blue book. Tear it roughly. It's a French book, but I just want to see what it says. It doesn't say anything. Not pleasant. Cries of joy, well that's a good thing to have there. Blonde hair like linen. I've got blondish hair. Some would call it grey. Right. So if I have that, and that can come off the edge a bit, and that can come off the edge a bit, I think that'll be okay. I might actually put that upside down, just so it's not instantly readable, legible. I'm trying to remember who played these three characters in our school play of Alice in Wonderland. I think the Dormouse was played by a boy who was a much lower year, because I think we were all kind of 14, 15, 16, somewhere around there. And I think the Dormouse was played by a little cute boy who was, you know, 10 or 11, as that would have been the youngest in the school at that time. I've got a vague recollection who played the Mad Hatter. I think that was an older boy who was quite well spoken. Posh, you might say. But I have no recollection who played the March Hare. Isn't that funny? Right, so there we go. That's quite nice, isn't it? Speak true stories. And there'll be a little tab type thing there, so I don't need to worry about that. I just need to remember to leave space for it. And do I want to put a bigger one of her? I think I will go for a smaller one, which means more tearing. Let's put my lids on. I'll just go and tear a little strip of these off. Right, so I've got one of the smaller ones. Make sure I've got it the right way up. So again, I want some other element on there. I'm just looking what I might use. Another little rose maybe. Okay, I've inked and stuck those on, and I've just found some words. I've got potential to become an individual. That is the warden going past on his ride on mower. He's probably going for his lunch. And then I just need a little tab for it. And then I'll do a pocket. And then it'll be time for my lunch. Please don't worry about me. You know, I do know sometimes when I say I'm not feeling very good or whatever, you're all worried about me. And it's lovely, and I know it's because you care about me. But I say it really because I think many of you know me quite well after having been here for, you know, more than a year, and you hear it in my voice, and I feel if I don't say it, I've put the lid on the glue when I still need it, that, you know, I don't know, maybe it's just better to be authentic or honest or whatever word you want to use. But it's now Tuesday, and this is just, and if it is following that lunar cycle, which I am beginning to notice, then sorry about my head if it's in the shot, by Friday when you see this I will feel better, because I know last month that it only lasted maybe 2 or 3 days and then I felt better. I also had a headache. I just had a kind of low-grade headache that didn't go away with sleeping or, you know, taking a painkiller or all the things that normally work on a headache. But that's gone, so yeah, so just don't worry about me. I just say it in case you hear it in my voice and you might imagine, you know, worse than what it is or whatever. I'm just being honest here. Just always try to be honest. Right, so I think that's quite nice now. Interesting little card. Do we want to use the other bit of green? I think maybe we do. I think it's a nice contrast. Maybe this will just do with a staple. So you could either put it either side or you could just put it on one side. It would depend really on how you wanted your card to look, I guess. So if you had it there and there, like we did before, it would obviously show on both sides. Or if you wanted one side it not to show, I mean this is obvious, I'm thinking aloud really. This is bloomin' obvious. Bloomin'. That, I think that's English. I think that's very English. I don't even think it's Scots, Welsh or Irish. You'll have to let me know. Bloomin'. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do that like that with a staple. But I'm going to endeavour to staple it from this side so that it all goes horribly wrong. I could have glued it first, I guess. Let's just do it like that. Not mind if it goes a bit wonky. It's gone a bit wonky, but that's okay. Yeah, there we go. So that's 2. What was I saying? Yeah, so by Friday I'll be fine. So, you know, and then I'll feel bad if you're all saying you're sorry that I'm not feeling good when I'm feeling fine on Friday. It's not anything major. It does make you more vulnerable to other negative stuff that you might be, you know, dealing with normally, doesn't it? But anyway, so there I've got 2 little, quite different cards really, considering. But they're both Alice in Wonderland themed, and they've both got her, well, those 2 sides are a bit similar, I guess. So let's do an envelope. I did promise you an envelope. Let's do a little envelope. Where have I, which of course I've now buried them all under stuff. I start out so organised, and then let's do this little blue one. So I think if that was stuck, I might actually look where I want this in the book, just to work out how the hows and why-fors and wherewithals, wherefores. So we just need to find a place to put it. That's a bit of a problem. Might need to do something there. I'm aware I've still got some of my little bits of cloth from, it's quite nice there because of the blue, from the woods that need to be included. Not very possible to get stuff in there now. And that needs to tuck in there, so you don't want to bury that. I'm just wondering if I just make that into a pocket and just keep this as a loose envelope with something in. What do you think? Shall I do that? Let that dry a minute while we mess about with the envelope. Whoops, now we know where we're at with it. And having that in there will sort of stiffen that page a little bit as well. Shouldn't be trying it while the glue's wet, Catherine. Yeah, that'll be fine. So I'll just set that to one side. So all that, well, we could either put it that way, it doesn't matter which way in really, does it? I've unglued it. Let's imagine it's going that way. I'm going to put the faintest of pencil lines somewhere there. A dot, just to show me where it will stick out. And then I want one of my Kates. We might go back to the bigger ones, maybe. Maybe, baby. So if I put her there, if I put her right over there, she'll peep out of the pocket. You don't have to. That's quite good, isn't it? So let's ink her and stick her there. Do we want something behind first? Do we want more book page? Oh, I do love this bit of goldy stuff. Oh yes, let's have some of that. Let's have some of that. But then we want it, we won't see it unless we take the envelope out, will we? Let's put a little bit there. Out there. Why I'm so drawn to gold lately. You've seen me splashing that gold paint around on anything and everything. I'm using the gold leaf. I could use a gold leaf here, of course, as well if I wanted to. I'm just going to put a little strip of that there, I think, and put her like that. Quite far over. Where's my dot? Yeah, so she pokes out like that. And then I might put a little word. So yeah, that's the take-home thing really, was that idea of taking pictures of, and it's not my idea, you know, I've seen lots of other people doing it. Taking pictures of your own artwork. Then you've got no copyright issues. And it could be anything, it could be just little doodles, or Michelle at the Creative Cove does it, Wendy the Unexpected Gypsy does it, and I've seen many others doing it. If you've done something that you're really pleased with, whatever it is, and funnily enough, Anne suggested it. I had these printed out and I was set up ready to film this morning, and before I came and I took Stella for a walk, and I came back, and before I started I had a little look through my messages, and Anne hello Anne, suggested from my grid journaling on Monday that I could take photocopy the page and use them. So I said to her, yeah, great minds think alike. But yeah, if you've done a little artwork that you're particularly pleased with, then use it multiple times. Get the most of it. And if you've got it, I want to go slightly less fast, if you've got it scanned in then, or you've got a photo of it on your phone or whatever you've done, you've got it forever, haven't you? You can use it whenever you like. There we go. So I just want a little word up there, just something, something, something unique. How about that? I like that because it's on a dark background. Actually, no, I think I might just put a tiny bit of book page behind as well. Just like that. Is that big enough? Just, do you see the difference there? If you just put that on there, it's quite flat. And at the same time, it jumps out a lot because it's dark against the blue. Whereas if you just put a little bit of something, it doesn't have to go the whole way, just something for it to sit on. I think I might have slightly bigger something for it to sit on, but it just makes it sit better somehow, to my mind. So it's always worth trying. And I wanted the text vertical, so now I've torn it the wrong way. Just trying, you know, if it doesn't look right, don't discard it. Maybe it's not the thing that's wrong, maybe it just needs something else. And I apparently feel the need to tear book page into tiny pieces. Book page confetti. That'll do, pig. So yeah, it's not necessarily that you have to take something away, it might be that you need to add things, is what I'm saying. And I find that with everything that I do, with my stitching, with my mixed media, everything, it's sometimes more is more. Sometimes it's not the right thing and it doesn't live there and, you know, it needs to find a home somewhere else. And other times, I'm determined to put that on the wrong way around. And other times it might just be that you need to add a little extra something just to make it work. So that's that side, so that's the envelope basically. So now it needs something to go in it, of course. It doesn't need to be a lot of something in it, just a little something. One of these little... Maybe if I stick something on the back of that and trim it down a tiny weeny bit, then that will make a little place to write something. Maybe at one point I'll write a little note to myself or something, 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 something. Okay, so I've stuck a bit of that same straw paper onto the back. I'm just going to leave that blank, and then later I'm going to write something there. And then I just found this little word free in my text tin. Of course I have inked everything. I'll just put some glue on that. I'll just put that up there. Super grungy, as are my hands, but something, because that's a wild rose. That's Rosa Canina, the dog rose. So I think that's quite appropriate, and I'll write, I don't know what yet, I might write some words from Wild Geese on the back. Yes, I'll do that. So that can go in its little envelope. And then the little envelope can go, hopefully the glue's dried, put the lid on. In there, and she just looks out like that. That's quite nice. Here's another line for another Mary Oliver poem called I Worried. I saw that worrying had come to nothing and gave it up and took my old body and went out into the morning and sang. Those are lines that I say to myself quite like. The idea of her going that way, so that bit of green pops out. So really I just need something stuck on here. Something, something. Or even like a belly band. Is it still a belly band when it goes vertically, or does it then become a tuck spot? I don't know. I don't know. So So I shall find something and do that. That's happening. Okay, I have fiddled about for a little while and I've got this bit of lace, and I've torn a strip of paper because I want to just wanted to stiffen the lace a bit, otherwise it would have been a bit awkward to get her in and out. So I'm going to just use glue stick, I think, to glue the lace to the paper for starters. And I cut the paper slightly narrower, I'll show you, because the lace has got this central band, so I tore the paper, which I've now forgot to ink, the same width as that central band. Make sure it's only the length of the bit of paper, otherwise it'll the sticky will be through the lace, if you see what I mean. Right, and the easiest way I find to get the backing off is where there's something pointy, so I just use my awl and hope that you don't get the stick as well. And I'll just trim my fingernails, which isn't helpful. There we go. If you kind of poke it gently so that you don't go right through. I think what I don't like is the bits of plastic that you pull off, and you know, plastic's inevitable in this day and age, I think, but I don't know. I don't know what it is I don't like about it. I mean, you know, there's plastic everywhere. I don't know. Anyway, it's there now. I've got it. I might as well use it. So I'll just try and get that somewhat straight. I feel like I'm always saying somewhat straight. So that is now what they call a belly band, which has come off after me saying how strong the tape is. If it doesn't work, then I shall just do something else with it. And then I can slot that in behind, either that way or that way. I think I like it that way. So that's got a home. And then you've got the little bit of green sticking out, which is kind of nice. So now we just need somewhere for the Mad Hatter's tea party to go. Kind of two rationale for the decision making. One is where it looks aesthetically pleasing, and the other is where it will practically go. I like it in here because the green, with that green, I think is nice. If that's a pocket, I could somehow make that smaller, but I'm not really sure. I don't want to do anything with my last page because I'm happy with it the way it is. I wonder if I put a pocket on a flip, or are we getting really silly if we start doing things like, oh, how about that? That as a pocket. Yes, let's do that. Let's just try the other butterfly as well. Oh no, I like that better because it's got the actual green on it. I think I might just trim it down a tiny bit. That'll work with the double-sided tape. I'm going to ink it, of course I am. The silk frays a bit, but that's alright. We like that. Love these, Maria, thank you so much. Okay, so I've done that. Put it slightly higher so you could still see a little bit of the music notes on the page underneath. I just love that with the butterfly and the green and everything. It's just come together lovely. Speak true stories. And on the other side we've got Kate the Brave, potential to become an individual, and you don't have to be good, and my wild rose. So yeah, and that's a little memory of Maria's card, and that Maria sent me the butterfly, which is a nice connection as well. And I've still, and that is got a pocket on it, but it's still also a flip out, so more stuff can be going on there at one point. So I think that was everything, wasn't it? So I did show you where I put things. So I made that into a pocket, and I made this little envelope with the little card inside, which I need to write something on. So that's a loose envelope, because with envelopes as well, if you don't know, I'm sure you can work it out. But you can also, if you had an envelope, where they'll gone, like this one for example, you can use that itself as a pocket, so you can glue that in or tape that in somewhere, maybe that way, and then it's a pocket. It can be a page and a pocket. You could even glue it or tape it in on 3 sides, so it's a pocket here in the envelope itself, and then behind the envelope's a pocket. There's many things you can do, and I probably will be doing more of them as we go along, but for now I've just got my envelope loose, tucked in that little pocket that I've made. And then I've got here we did a belly band, which is not sticking, so I will get the glue on it, the tacky glue. I'll do that and leave it to dry. But yeah, so belly bands, you can have them going this way as well, but I've chosen to do it that way because I wanted my bit of green sticking out there. And that can go either way round, whichever way you like. And then the final one was this one, wasn't it? Right at the back here, Mad Hatter's Tea Party, with the cigarette silk butterfly stuck on as a pocket. And then that's got double-sided stuff going on, so you can ring the changes. If you didn't like the look of the back side of the staple there, of course you could stick something else over it, but I don't mind that really. So there we go, so that's this week's slow journaling. I feel better already. I feel better than I did when I started. Really love that bit of green sticking out. Let's keep this handy and get some more of it going on in there. So yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for being here and, you know, giving me this opportunity to share with you while I'm creating, because that helps me enormously. I just love this community so much, and all of you, and thank you, and so much for watching. And my words are all getting lost, but I hope you hear my heart speaking. I look forward to you joining me next time for more slow journaling tales. Bye bye.